Wonderful. Good day and welcome to Gaining Vision. I'm Melanie Taddeo-Nxumalo. And if you recall back when I was in South Africa, I had the pleasure of meeting some really important people involved in the struggle in Swaziland. And today I thought I'd tune in and follow up on how things are going and to educate and inform myself and you on what's happening and how we can get involved. So I'd like to welcome Ivy and Nandi. How are you guys?
We're good, Melanie. Thank you. How are you?
Yes, yeah, we are okay, Melanie. Obviously, the struggle for the freedom and democracy in our motherland is the one that keeps us awake at night. But we believe God has put us in this position to try and steer the ship to calmer waters.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much for joining. And I've got a couple of questions, but I'd really like to get a status update. So I've been home for a week, guys, just 1 week, but lots can happen in a weekend. I've been following the news in Swaziland and lots has happened. So Ivy, can you tell us a little bit of update? What's been happening in Swaziland with the struggle?
Yeah, I mean, the situation has not actually changed, but there have been some positive and obviously negative developments. Let me start with a positive. Last Saturday, last Friday, the diaspora in South Africa, the Swazi diaspora in South Africa, together with some of our partners in a very, very rainy Friday morning to afternoon, they marched and presented a memorandum to the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. And basically what we're saying there was South Africa must intervene, must rein in its South African citizens who are acting as mercenaries in Swaziland and killing our people. So yeah, it was very great to have the people who braved the weather elements. And we presented the memorandum. In actual fact, I think Comrade Nandipha will forward that memorandum to yourself so that you can read and see what the people of Swaziland are saying to South Africa. And obviously then following up to that, we've since written a lot of letters to organizations, particularly here in South Africa, and Namibia, to thank them for their support. And today we got a call from one of the top 2 leading trade union federation, which is South African Federation of Trade Unions, led by Comrade Eswatini'S. And they were having a meeting today, and the Swazi question was going to be on the agenda. Following to that, on Saturday in Swaziland, there was it's an annual national prayer day, which is hosted by the King of Swaziland, King Mswati III. And for the first time, Melanie, the clergy there, together with the former president of South Africa, President Jacob Zuma, they asked the King that the time has come. They said to the King, the time has come for him to choose peace and choose dialogue with the people of Swaziland. And we have since written to these clergy and the former president, thanking them for standing with the people and speaking truth to power. We just hope something will come out of that. But obviously, I think on the downside is, we've just got depressing letter from Amnesty International. They are not able to assist us on some of the requests that we put through to them, but we have not lost hope. The fact that we are communicating with them, it means a lot to us. And yeah, maybe there have been a few people who are running away from Swaziland because they are fearing for their lives. One of them is just one young man, and then the other one is Comrade Eugene Dube, who runs an online publications called Swati Newsweek online. And the police have come to his place not less than 4 times. And they've taken photos of his homestead. And he's fearing for his life. And he left Swaziland. He's somewhere here in South Africa. And we're scratching our head as to how can we assist and help him. As you know, the president of the Southern National Association of Teachers left as well. And the Secretary General of the Transport Union left Swaziland as well. And there are a lot of others that we are not aware of. But we are saying the struggle continues and we are not going to be deterred. And with people like yourselves who continue to inspire and give hope to us and the Swazi people, we believe that we shall overcome very soon. Right. I don't know whether Comrade Nandipha wants to add something, but that is basically what has happened in the last few days in Swaziland in as far as the struggle for democracy is concerned.
Before I go to Nandi for her update as well, is it accurate or true, I heard this, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that during the former president of South Africa's speech of what you were saying, the internet in Swaziland was turned off?
I'm not so sure. I'm not aware of that because we're here and we didn't get the reports of that. I'm not so sure. Maybe Comrade Nandipha was aware. But yeah, unfortunately, we didn't even pick it up. Obviously, being busy the way we are, sometimes we don't get to know these things unless we make inquiries. But yeah, Comrade Nandipha, if she had heard, she may actually share the details.
Right. So Nandi, any other updates or you want to add to what IB has shared with us?
Thank you, Melanie. I think Comrade IB has covered everything that has happened in the past week with regards to the Swazi issue and this other question. When it comes to the internet, we haven't heard anything. We know it happened before where they used to sabotage the ordinary Swazi person and they'd switch off the internet and they'd find ways to connect and spread the news. But no, we never had anything on last week service that they had with the king. Okay. Obviously, they wanted it to be publicized to show that Maswati still love their kings. And I think it was an unfortunate situation where the president and most of the pastors spoke for the oppressed and not stupid, and they didn't stand by the king. I think it caught them off guard, even though if it did happen, maybe it was never publicized. We were not aware of.
Okay. Fair enough. And I know that you're doing a lot of humanitarian work for the struggle. And as IB indicated, you've been busy connecting with people. Can you give us an update on what's happening on your end in South Africa?
Currently, as Comrade IB has updated, we received a request from an editor for one of the online publications, Comrade Eugene Dube, who has feared for his life because of threats by the Swazi police. He's fled home and obviously he needs accommodation, he needs transportation, he needs food, he needs a lot of things like all the other comrades, like the SNAP president who's also in South Africa, the secretary for the Transport Association, and many other comrades that we have in South Africa. You met some of them. Things are still the same. We have not received any assistance, and we are trying very hard to communicate with the South African government, because I think first things first, as much as we need accommodation and food, which is a priority, we also need them to be in South Africa legally. So it all depends on what the South African government does, because we need asylum documents for them. And obviously that can only be done with the South African government. We are still in communication with them. We don't know what the outcome will be, but currently all these comrades need everybody. They need food, they need accommodation, and some of them left home without clothing.
Yes. So again, our comrades' safety is of the utmost importance, and the fact that you guys are helping with this transition for them is amazing. So the need for shelter and food, and then of course the documentation. So what is the party doing, or how can people get involved to help support this? Because this is a huge endeavor. It's not just something you bring a guest home for the night. It's a long-term thing right now. So can you please share how we can help?
Thank you for the question, Melanie. I think first things first, we need finances is a big issue. But we appreciate comrades, even South African comrades that will come to us and say, listen, I don't have anything tangible financially, but I have a room. I can give them food. I can take 1 or 2 comrades. We need comrades that will assist us with that. Obviously, when they are there, they will need food. There's electricity, which is costly. Then the monetary issue comes in. And like I've mentioned, some of them just had to flee home without anything, with only what they had in their bodies. Those people need clothing, they need toiletries. For starters, yeah, that's what we really desperately need. And obviously, we need the international community to be aware of what is happening in Swaziland. They are shutting it down, trying to put it as if these comrades are terrorists, obviously to try and protect the monarchy. But we know what is happening, and we need more people to understand what is happening in Swaziland. And so we really appreciate your channel, because it shares, it amplifies the voices of the people of Swaziland, that this is what is happening. You're talking to people that live with these people, they've seen them, they've had one-on-one encounter with them, and they know firsthand that these people are going through so much. These are our brothers and sisters. Like when we spoke the last time we had a conversation, we spoke about the medical issues in Swaziland. That's another very big issue. As much as these people run away from home, home still needs help. Swaziland still needs a lot of help, especially when it comes to education and healthcare issues.
And it's like you read my mind. IB, if you could share, you know, some people are able to escape and flee because of the safety of their lives, but there are many other brothers and sisters at home. What is it like? What's happening in Swaziland on the ground on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, Melanie, like Comrade Nandipha said, I think if we were, let me just finish and add a few things on those who are coming, who are running away from Swaziland. You know, it's always very difficult to leave your country, even if it's a planned migration. But it becomes so difficult again if you are when you have to flee your country because you fear for your lives. And then what normally happens, some of them, they leave their children behind. And for instance, somebody like this editor, Eugene Dube, now that he has left home, he has left the children behind, but he no longer has income because he cannot be able to do what he was doing inside Swaziland, to collect news and publicize it. You know, so now there's no income. He doesn't have income where he is. So the livelihood is grossly affected. But the children at home, again, their life is uprooted. You know, the biggest problem that we have in the world, as you know, Melanie, is that in many countries, when these kinds of things are happening, when there is civil strife, particularly when the government is involved, the world powers and the international organizations, normally they look the other way around. How come that in Rwanda, within 100 days, more than 1 million people died, and the world was there, the world knew what was happening, but they decided just to look the other way around. I look at the issue of the Rohingyas in Myanmar. You look at the catastrophe and the situation there is so terrible. Obviously, in countries like Syria, things are so bad. I was watching and looking at the big problem that has to do with even before the earthquake, but the winter, which was creating havoc to the people. So in here we are having that problem. The magnitude is not as big as in these other countries that I've referred to, but it could be arrested. I mean, it could be arrested. So we, for instance, we may take, and we do take quite a number of our fellow Swazis who are fleeing, and we don't ask questions about what did the person do, the political or religious affiliation, we can accommodate quite a number of them. But the problem is, Melanie, once you have accommodated them, then they need food. Like Comrade Nandipha has said, they need sanitary ware, some of them. They need warm water. So electricity is so expensive. So we are saying, if somebody, for instance, there's an organization out there that can say, you know what, we can contribute towards a few bags of milling meal, few bags of rice, and meat, and beans. Yeah, then that will make life much easier. But inside Swaziland, again, it is very difficult. Life there is so difficult. I mean, the unemployment rate is almost 60 to 70%. And you can't believe it, the people are earning peanuts, even those that they work. But currently, just for a deposit at a high school, it's you're looking at around 300 Canadian dollars, you know, or 400 Canadian dollars just a deposit. And that amount of money, some of these people don't make in a year. So these are the kind of problems that we are having. But yeah, I think for now, we are saying to the international community and the world powers, the time to intervene in Swaziland has arrived. I mean, they must actually do something. We appreciate what President Zuma has done. We appreciate what the president of Namibia has done, and quite a number of people who have supported. But we are concerned about countries like the European Union, like the USA, like the Commonwealth, because the Commonwealth, Swaziland being a member of the Commonwealth, they have got leverage. They can actually say they can suspend Swaziland until they resolve the domestic political and constitutional crisis. Yeah, in Swaziland, things are really bad. The kids are not having support. They are going to school, but they are being sent away because they don't have money, but there is no employment because the king and the royal family have amassed everything to themselves, Melanie.
It's unfortunate, and to me, it's amazing how the royal family has just taken away every right and freedom of its people, and it's supposed to be there to protect the people and to help the country flourish. But in fact, it's tearing it down bit by bit, and it's tragic to watch. And I think that the international community definitely needs to become more aware, because a lot of people don't even know about Swaziland, where it is. And I know that when we talk about it here, we're trying to shed light on it and explain what's happening, how beautiful and peaceful the country used to be, and what's occurred. And I know in our last conversation on Democratic News, when we were live, Ivy, you really explained that well, of the tragedy that happened and what's occurred since then. And Nandi, of course, with the humanitarian, you've shared with that as well. So we want to make sure, so education, healthcare, the needs of those having to flee Swaziland, that is definitely a necessity. And of course, creating awareness on an international platform to have some of people in the different high power places to step in and make comment, or at least educate themselves on what is happening in Swaziland and how sanctions or different things can be implemented to make the king pay attention. And I think that's a part of the issue, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is he thinks he's bigger than anything. He thinks he's untouchable, and therefore he just continues to cause destruction and chaos. Is that accurate?
I don't know where is Comrade Nandipha. Yes, that is very correct. I mean, Swaziland has been, but the problems in Swaziland obviously is just about the royal family. Very, very greedy family, because people should know that in 1968, Swaziland got its independence from Britain, and it used the Westminster Constitution, which allowed for which allowed for some form of democracy. At least people could, political parties were operational, and people could choose their representatives in government. Obviously, I think there was some sort of a thin line whether the king did have absolute power or not. But the truth of the matter is, in 1973, when the king realized that the people were electing people that he didn't like, and there were just only 3 MPs out of the 24, then he decided to unilaterally and illegally overthrow the independence constitution. And then he grabbed all the powers to himself. That was the genesis of the current problem. So the problems have been there since 1973, but the economy has been growing, and partly because there was a problem in South Africa with apartheid, and a lot of countries, a lot of companies would rather go and invest, they will disinvest in South Africa because of the call for sanctions against Africa because of apartheid. And then they will relocate. Those companies will relocate to Swaziland, but they will still sell their products back to South Africa. So the economy, in a way, survived because of that. But when this particular king came to take over in 1986, and then he married his 15 wives and another 20 girlfriends, and all these people, they want, just imagine a small population anywhere in the world, Melanie. There is not one country anywhere in the world that will allow one family to have 15 palaces, and all these wives, they are taken care of by the state. They've got people who are working there, they've got security, and they've got all these children. They get about 3 million rands annually per child, and you're looking at around 40 children or something like that. So it just cannot be sustainable. And this is what we normally say to the world, that you wouldn't accept this kind of political situation or arrangement. So you wouldn't expect us as Swazis to actually accept it. In the past, they said we're not vocal enough, we're not fighting enough, and we have actually been doing that. And we have statistics, more than 100 people were killed in 2021, June, July, and more than 700 were arrested, and another few hundreds, they had, they were injured, and a lot of them. All of a sudden, Swaziland has got people who have no legs because they were shot at and by the police. So what more should happen in Swaziland before SADC, which is the regional political body, and the African Union and the United Nations take action? You see, that is a question that we're asking ourselves. But through people like yourselves who continue to amplify the challenges of our people, we really appreciate it. And we believe that, as the old saying would go, it becomes very dark before dawn. And we believe that our dawn is coming, and Swaziland, a very beautiful country that we love dearly, shall be free, and all the people in Swaziland will have equal opportunities to participate in the economy and in the political discourse. And the children, particularly the children, because if you destroy the young people, then there is no future for that country. We have not even started talking about the more than 200,000 disabled people in Swaziland who are not taken care of. You know, if you look at the transport system, when I grew up, disabled people who used to have access to public transport, they never used to pay. But now all that thing has gone through the window. You no longer you don't see these kids in the workplace. We talk about this one young kid now who managed miraculously. This young girl managed to get to university, But I know that university because I was there in 1983 to 87. It doesn't have, it has got lots of steps, you know, and how do you maneuver from your residence to the library, to the public lectures, to the dining hall, on a wheelchair that is not motorized, but again, on corridors that have got so many steps, you know, but we are saying through people like yourselves, we will help. We are not going to fold our arms and do nothing.
Exactly.
There is an African saying that says, it takes a village to raise a child. And we believe that we are the village that are going to raise a Swazi child, so that one day when we look back, we'll say we have done what God wanted us to do whilst we're in this world.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to acknowledge what you said. There's nowhere in the world that would allow a king or anybody in power, the royal family, to be taking care of that many wives, children, etc. That's just when the rest of the country is starving and suffering. It's just unheard of.
Absolutely.
So absolutely. And again, I want our audience to understand the people of Swaziland are just asking for democracy, an everyday human right. It's not a privilege. It is a right for every human on this world. So this is not a big ask. This is just something that should be. So I think it's so important that we have these conversations, that we educate and inform people across the globe of what's happening and how we can get involved and create awareness. That's the biggest piece. We need to be talking about it. We can't be hiding it under the carpet. We need to share the stories like you shared of the young woman that is looking to have a motorized wheelchair just to get education. And that is just, again, a basic human right, the right to education. There are so many, and I know we could sit here for hours and hours hearing of the stories, but I think this is a good place to now ask Nandi. I know you've shared before, but I'm going to ask again. Website, social media, anything that people can connect with you guys. That way they can learn more, find out how to get involved. And then Ivy, if you can share the programs your guys are working alongside with. So again, we can highlight them as well. So Nandi, I'll ask you first.
Yes, Melanie, that is true. I think as long as we continue to amplify the plight of the Swazi people, the better. I mean, I can't think, okay, there are some countries where they don't allow political parties. But in Swaziland, yeah, political parties were banned in 1973. So the king has got absolute power. There is no checks and balances. He controls parliament, he controls the executive, and he controls the judiciary. He controls every small business that you can, even transport business, logistics, he takes that to himself. He is above the law. If you have got a problem with somebody and the person says, okay, he's connected, if that person is connected to the king, once he goes to the king, then the courts will not entertain that matter because the king is above the law. We are not asking for too much. We are just saying, can the people of Swaziland enjoy the democracy that the rest of the world is enjoying? We are saying, can we have peace in Swaziland? And we're saying, can we have peaceful dialogue, which is all-inclusive, so that the people of Swaziland can come together around the table and chart a way forward? We are saying there must be the unbanning of political parties so that people can choose who to govern them. There must be the unconditional return of all political prisoners, political exiles who are all over the world. They are in Europe, they are here in South Africa, they are in the rest of Africa. We are saying, can they release the pro-democracy MPs and the many Swazis that are still incarcerated just because they want democracy and freedom? We're not asking for too much. That is basically what we're saying to the world. We actually said we want this to be on record. We want, in 2005, we want the Commonwealth, that the constitution that they were sponsoring in Swaziland, which allowed the king to have absolute power, was not good for Swaziland. They never, I remember very well, we were in a meeting in the Swaziland Parliament precinct in 2005 with the envoy, the special envoy of the Commonwealth, a certain Professor Adefuye, who was a chief, Professor Chief Adefuye, who was a chief in Nigeria. And I said to him, you wouldn't accept this constitution for the Nigerian people. Why do you think we Swazis should actually accept it? And instead of listening to what we were saying, he threatened us and he said, you know what, I've been all over the world. If you don't want this constitution, the Commonwealth will leave, and we will then you can kill yourselves. We don't mind. I mean, this is what Adefuye said. And today, so many years down the line, what we want the Commonwealth about has come to pass, and we have the current situation where everything has collapsed in Swaziland because the Commonwealth supported a constitution that gave one man, just one man, absolute power on the lives of the 1.3 million people. That is the tragedy of of the double standards that we normally witness sometimes in world politics. The Brits, for instance, would never allow the king there to have absolute power and control everything. They wouldn't allow that. But but through the Commonwealth, they think it is fine for the Swazi people to have one man literally control the lives of 1.3 million.
Well, you know, when you put it so straight, I had to shake my head. I'm like, it makes absolutely no sense, but it is the reality, unfortunately. Nandi, can you share how people can reach out and connect with people helping the struggle programs, yourselves, just to learn more, to educate and to contribute if they're able?
Yeah, thanks, Melanie. We have our website, which is for the United Eswatini diaspora. We'll basically share that in your platform so that people can actually see them. They can actually reach us, as there. We have got a banking, bank details wherein people can make their contributions. We are going to share that with you. But again, Melanie, we don't say people should actually only help what the United Eswatini diaspora is doing. The people can actually go into the website. They will find the other political organizations there. There is a huge need for political education because remember, the Swazi people have been deprived of issues of democracy since 1973, almost 50 years back. So you have got generations that had never known about issues of democracy. So if these organizations can even come and say they are prepared to fund people on the ground who can teach our people about democracy and good governance, that is good. But again, we are thinking of the future Swaziland. It is one thing to say the king is doing bad, which he is doing terrible things to our people in our country. But post the king, we need to have educated people who will run the civil service. And we are saying to the people of the world, if you are listening to us and you are a chancellor of a university in Ontario or anywhere in the world or in Ottawa, we are saying, if you were to say you take one Swazi to come to your country and learn about agricultural economics, about engineering, about economy, about anything that could actually help the new government, we will be very much happy about that, because we need to make sure that to the king, because for the past 50 years, the people who have been running the civil service and have been running the economy down has been those people who are less educated. There is a saying, there is a term that is called kakistocracy. You can read it up, where they are saying the West amongst us are ruling us. The West amongst us are in charge of our political and economic affairs. In Swaziland, that has been happening. So we don't want a situation, Melanie, that after the king has moved in whatever way, and when we have got a new government, then we don't have the right people to rebuild the economy, so that the people of Swaziland can enjoy the economy of the country and the politics and everything. And so yes, we are going to share the details with you as soon as we are finished with these discussions, even with our programs, as it were. But like we're saying, it is not about us. We have got other organizations like the Multi-Stakeholder Forum, and they're doing a wonderful job. We have this organization for the disabled people of 200,000 people, and they have got programs which needs supporting. We have got people of color, people who are living with albinism. We have got organizations of women, and in Swaziland, women, they are still suppressed. You know, women can never have land because they need to have a husband or to have a toddler. As long as the toddler is a male, even if the child is 1 year old. You as a woman, Melanie, if you are in Swaziland, if you want land, you will never have access to land unless you have got a child, a boy child. Then you can register that land, or it will be given to him, to you through him. But as soon as you grow old and this child grows old and marries, then the child will will kick you out of the land and the homestead that we have built. That is the reality of the Swazi women in our country.
And it's definitely something that a lot of us internationally could even consider. But I think what you highlighted is very important, is preparing for the future, making sure that we're educating Swazis on democracy, on skill sets to help prepare for a post-King world. And Nandi, is there any final thoughts or things you'd like to share, especially with the work that you're doing in South Africa?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, come in, Comrade Nandipha.
All right, thank you, Comrade IP. I think Comrade IP has covered everything. And again, just to amplify the fact that the Swazi people are only fighting for one thing. They want their kids to be given a fair opportunity to a better future. That is why we say we want democracy. We want our kids to be given a fair opportunity to build or destroy their own future, not let Mswati take that away from them. Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank you both for the work you continue to do for the struggle. I also would ask our audience and viewers to definitely look into it, educate yourself, as I'm trying to do. I don't claim to know it all, but with friends like these two and listening to what's happening and informing myself, I'm starting to educate myself and to see how I can make a difference, because I think it is so important, even though we may not be in the Swaziland or even in South Africa. The importance is democracy is a human right. And why should we in Canada or in the US or across the globe have that and they don't? So please educate yourself. I will be sharing the links and any ways to learn about the programs that they've mentioned in the links below. And please, let's touch base again in a few months, weeks, whatever it is, whenever something else comes up. Let's keep educating and informing ourselves. Thank you both so much for joining me today. Until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, the people of the world. God bless Swaziland.
Sorry, 1 second, I'm just trying to stop. Hi, sir.
Are you sure you want to stop recording to the cloud? If yes, you will receive Zoom meeting.
Hi, are you there? Hi, B.
End meeting or leave meeting?